The sky turned red over Washington, D.C. on what should have been an ordinary Tuesday morning. Captain James Miller stood on the roof of the Pentagon, his weathered face turned upward as massive ships darkened the clouds above. 20 years in the Air Force hadn't prepared him for this moment, humanity's first contact with alien life. But these weren't peaceful visitors. The alien ships belonged to the Dominion, a ruthless empire that had conquered half the galaxy. They didn't come with greetings or promises of friendship. They came with an ultimatum: Earth could either join their war against the Alliance, a coalition of free worlds fighting for survival, or face immediate destruction. Miller watched as military leaders from around the world gathered in emergency meetings. The choice seemed simple on the surface: join or die. But as intelligence reports started flowing in, a more complex picture emerged. The Dominion wasn't as strong as they claimed. Their forces were stretched thin across thousands of worlds, and they desperately needed Earth's military might and resources. What the Dominion didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. Hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains lay Project Phoenix, Earth's secret space fleet, built using recovered alien technology from the Roswell crash. While primitive compared to Dominion ships, these vessels had one crucial advantage: they were completely unknown to the enemy. As Miller walked through the underground hangar later that day, he studied the sleek black ships with pride. Humanity had managed to reverse-engineer alien tech while keeping it hidden from orbital scans. Each vessel carried experimental weapons that merged human ingenuity with alien science. "They think we're helpless primitives," General Roberts said, stepping out of the shadows. The old general had overseen Project Phoenix since its beginning. "But we're going to show them just how wrong they are." Miller nodded, his mind already forming a plan. The Dominion had given Earth 48 hours to respond to their ultimatum. That was more than enough time to launch a counter-offensive they'd never see coming. "Send word to all Phoenix bases," Miller said. "Tell them to prep for immediate deployment. We're not joining their war as slaves, we're joining it as the game changers." As klaxons began blaring throughout the facility, Miller felt a fierce smile spread across his face. The Dominion thought they were forcing humanity into their galactic conflict. Instead, they had just awakened a sleeping giant. Earth wouldn't just join this war, they would change its entire course. The next 24 hours saw the fastest military mobilization in human history. As Dominion ships loomed overhead, expecting submission, thousands of Phoenix personnel moved into position. Surface militaries made a show of panic and disarray while underground bases hummed with purposeful activity. Miller took command of the Phoenix flagship, the TNS Humanity's Dawn. As he settled into the captain's chair, looking at the determined faces of his crew, he knew that the universe was about to learn a vital lesson: never underestimate the human spirit. The stage was set. Humanity was about to make its grand entrance into galactic warfare. And nothing, absolutely nothing, would ever be the same again. The TNS Humanity's Dawn slipped through space like a shark through dark waters. Captain Miller watched as Earth grew smaller on the main screen. His fleet of 50 Phoenix ships had launched under cover of a global thunderstorm, their energy signatures masked by the lightning. "Dominion ships still haven't detected us," reported Tom Walker, the young radar specialist. His fingers danced across holographic controls that had seemed impossible just a few years ago. "Their attention is focused on our surface military movements." Miller allowed himself a small smile. While the world's armies performed elaborate evacuation drills on the surface, drawing the Dominion's eyes, the Phoenix fleet was positioning itself for a strike that would shake the galaxy. Their target wasn't the Dominion ships above Earth. That would be too obvious. Instead, they were heading for something far more valuable: the Dominion's main supply line to the front lines of their war with the Alliance. "Signal from command," announced Lisa Reed, the communications officer. "The Alliance has been contacted. They're ready to coordinate with us once we reveal ourselves." This was the riskiest part of the plan. Humanity wasn't just fighting back, they were secretly joining forces with the Alliance. If the timing wasn't perfect, both Earth and the Phoenix fleet would be destroyed. The fleet traveled for 6 hours, using stolen Dominion star maps to navigate. They passed the orbit of Mars, then Jupiter, moving faster than any human-made object had ever traveled before. The ship's engines, reverse-engineered from the Roswell craft, bent space itself to achieve their incredible speed. Supply convoy detected, Walker announced. 12 Dominion cargo ships with only 2 military escorts. They're not expecting any threats in this sector. Miller straightened in his chair. All ships, battle positions. Remember your training. We may be new to space combat, but we've prepared for this moment. Humanity's future depends on what we do next. The Phoenix fleet split into 3 groups, just as they had practiced countless times in underground simulators. Miller's group would hit the convoy head-on, while the others would attack from above and below, using the three-dimensional nature of space combat to their advantage. Weapons hot, Miller commanded. Let's show them what Earth can do. The first shot was fired by the Humanity's Dawn, a concentrated beam of plasma that cut through the lead escort ship like paper. The Dominion vessel never had time to raise its shields. In the vacuum of space, the explosion was silent but beautiful. What followed was chaos. The Phoenix ships moved with perfect coordination, their smaller size making them difficult targets. Human pilots, trained in atmospheric combat, proved surprisingly skilled in space. They thought in 3 dimensions naturally, while the Dominion pilots seemed bound by rigid, 2-dimensional tactics. Their cargo ships are carrying something big, reported Bill Foster from the science station. Energy readings are off the charts. Could be their new superweapon we heard about in the intelligence briefings. Even better, Miller replied. All ships, prepare boarding parties. We're not just going to destroy these ships, we're going to capture them. The battle lasted less than 20 minutes. When it was over, 10 Phoenix ships had attached themselves to the Dominion cargo vessels, their crews cutting through hulls to secure the precious cargo. The remaining escort ship had fled, carrying word of humanity's surprise attack back to its masters. As Miller watched his crews work, he received a transmission from Earth. General Roberts' face appeared on the screen, looking pleased. The Dominion fleet above Earth just received news of your attack, he said. They're pulling back, probably trying to figure out how we managed this. We've bought ourselves some time, and some very valuable bargaining chips. Miller nodded. And we've shown them that humanity won't bow down easily. This is just the beginning. As his crews secured their prizes, Miller knew that the galaxy was about to change forever. Humanity had made its first strike, and they had struck hard. The Dominion would soon learn that they had made a terrible mistake in threatening Earth. The war had truly begun, and humanity was ready. 3 days after the successful raid, Captain Miller stood in a room that seemed impossible. He was aboard the Alliance flagship Hope's Light, surrounded by beings from a dozen different worlds. Each of them had their own story of fighting against the Dominion's tyranny. Your attack was perfectly timed, said Admiral Ray, the Alliance commander. Unlike the other aliens, he looked almost human, except for his silver skin and eyes that glowed like stars. The cargo you captured contained plans for the Dominion's new weapon system. This could change everything. Miller watched as holographic displays showed the contents they'd stolen. The Dominion had been developing something called a Star Killer, a massive cannon that could destroy entire solar systems. If they'd finished building it, no world would have been safe. Earth scientists are already studying the technology, Miller reported. But we've found something else in the data, evidence that the Dominion is running out of resources. They're not as strong as they want everyone to believe. The alien leaders murmured among themselves. A tall, blue-skinned warrior named Kell stepped forward. This matches our intelligence. They're stretched thin, trying to hold too many worlds with too few ships. That's why they wanted Earth. They need your resources and soldiers. Then we hit them now, while they're weak, Miller suggested. Earth's fleet may be small, but we have something they don't expect: creativity. Human battle tactics are different from anything they've seen before. Admiral Ray nodded slowly. We've watched your species for many years. You develop new technologies faster than any race we've encountered. Your minds work in ways that surprise us. Perhaps that's exactly what we need to win this war. The meeting was interrupted by urgent news. The Dominion had launched a massive attack on Earth's solar system, but they'd made a crucial mistake. Instead of finding Earth defenseless, they'd flown straight into a trap. On the main screen, Miller watched with pride as Earth's defense plan unfolded. Thousands of automated drones, built in secret factories on the moon, swarmed the Dominion ships. Meanwhile, the Phoenix fleet struck from hidden positions behind Mars, using the planet's magnetic field to mask their approach. Incredible, breathed Kell. Your people turned your entire solar system into a fortress. Even without advanced technology, you prepared for war among the stars. Humans have been imagining space warfare for centuries, Miller explained. We've written countless stories about it, planned for every possibility. When we found that crashed ship at Roswell, we didn't just study its technology, we improved it. Admiral Ray made his decision. The Alliance hereby recognizes Earth as a full member world. We'll share our technology, and you'll share your tactical knowledge. Together, we might have a real chance at victory. As if to emphasize the point, another report came in. The Dominion fleet attacking Earth was retreating, having lost a third of their ships. They hadn't expected to face both advanced technology and human military strategies. Tell Earth's leaders we accept, Miller said. But we need to move fast. The Dominion will be back, and next time they'll be better prepared. The alien leaders agreed. Within hours, Alliance engineers were heading to Earth to help upgrade the Phoenix fleet with their most advanced technology. In return, human military advisors would help plan a major offensive against Dominion space. As Miller prepared to return to his ship, Admiral Ray stopped him. There's something else you should know. We've detected unusual energy readings from the edge of known space. Something is coming, something that threatens both us and the Dominion. We may need humanity's help for more than just this war. Miller felt a chill run down his spine. It seemed the galaxy held more dangers than they'd imagined. But first, they had to win this war. And with Earth's creativity now combined with Alliance technology, they had a real chance of victory. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and humanity would help lead the charge. The TNS Humanity's Dawn looked different now. Alliance engineers had covered its black hull with shimmering energy shields that bent light around the ship. The human crew worked alongside alien technicians, learning to use weapons that could punch holes through space itself. Energy signature detected, Tom Walker announced from his upgraded sensor station. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Even the Alliance computers can't identify it. Captain Miller shared a concerned look with Admiral Ray, who had joined their ship for this mission. They were investigating the strange readings from the edge of known space, leading a joint fleet of human and Alliance vessels. Show us, Miller ordered. The main screen lit up with a visualization of space that made everyone's blood run cold. A massive tear was forming between the stars, leaking energy that didn't belong in their universe. As they watched, something began to emerge. By all the stars, Admiral Ray whispered. The ancient texts were true. The Devourers have returned. Through the tear came ships that dwarfed even the largest Dominion vessels. They were organic-looking, like massive space-dwelling creatures, trailing tentacles of dark energy that seemed to eat the light around them. What are they? Miller asked, though he dreaded the answer. They're why the Alliance and Dominion exist in the first place, Ray explained. 100,000 years ago, these beings nearly destroyed all life in the galaxy. Our ancestors united to drive them back into the void between universes. The war split our people into two factions, those who believed in freedom, and those who believed only absolute control could protect us if the Devourers returned. Miller watched as more of the massive ships emerged. And now they're back. Right when we're all fighting each other. Emergency transmissions began flooding in. The Devourers were attacking both Alliance and Dominion worlds, consuming entire planets for energy. Their weapons didn't just destroy, they erased matter from existence. We need to warn Earth, Miller said. And, we need to warn the Dominion too. Admiral Ray nodded grimly. The old wars don't matter anymore. If we don't unite, there won't be a galaxy left to fight over. The joint fleet rushed back toward Alliance space, but they were too late to prevent the first attacks. 3 Dominion worlds had already fallen to the Devourers. The strange ships seemed to be feeding on the destroyed planets, growing larger with each world they consumed. In an unprecedented move, the Alliance leadership sent an open transmission to the Dominion High Command. Miller watched as Admiral Ray delivered the message that would change everything. Ancient enemies have returned, Ray announced. They threaten all of us equally. We propose an immediate ceasefire and united defense against the Devourers. Humanity's leaders have offered Earth as neutral ground for peace talks. The response came faster than anyone expected. The Dominion's Supreme Commander himself appeared on screen, his usual arrogance replaced by genuine fear. We accept. Our forces are already falling back from Alliance space. We remember the ancient enemy. This time, we must stand together. Miller couldn't believe how quickly the galaxy had changed. In just a few weeks, humanity had gone from a primitive species to the peacemakers between 2 ancient spacefaring civilizations. We'll need every ship, every weapon, and every soldier, Admiral Ray said. But most importantly, we'll need humanity's greatest strength, the ability to think differently. The old ways of fighting won't work against the Devourers. As the fleet raced back to Earth, Miller began forming plans. Humanity had spent centuries imagining how to fight impossible enemies. Now those wild ideas might be the galaxy's only hope. The war had changed. It was no longer about freedom versus control, but about the survival of all life itself. And humanity would play a crucial role in the battles to come. The Great Hall of the United Nations had never seen a meeting like this. Captain Miller stood at attention as leaders from Earth, the Alliance, and the Dominion gathered to plan their defense against the Devourers. The room was tense, centuries of hatred couldn't be forgotten in a few days. Traditional weapons are useless, the Dominion commander stated. The Devourers absorb energy attacks, and their shields are too strong for physical weapons. Then we stop thinking like soldiers and start thinking like humans, Miller said, stepping forward. All eyes turned to him. We've spent centuries telling stories about fighting unstoppable aliens. Now it's time to turn those stories into reality. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's plan. The Devourers feed on energy, right? So we give them something they can't digest. Our scientists have been studying their attacks. Every time they consume a planet, they follow the same pattern, like a creature with a very specific diet. Admiral Ray leaned forward, his glowing eyes intense. What are you suggesting? We poison them, Miller explained. Not with toxins, but with a form of energy they can't process. Our scientists found a way to create artificial quantum singularities, miniature black holes that last just long enough to be used as weapons. The alien leaders muttered among themselves. Creating black holes as weapons seemed insane, but desperate times called for desperate measures. The Devourers' ships are organic, Miller continued. They're basically giant space creatures. And like any creature, they need to digest what they consume. We can use that against them. The plan was audacious. They would sacrifice an uninhabited star system, but fill it with thousands of quantum singularity devices. When the Devourers came to feed, they would trigger the devices, forcing the cosmic monsters to consume energy that would tear them apart from the inside. "This is madness," the Dominion commander said, but there was respect in his voice. "It's exactly the kind of creative thinking we need." Over the next week, ships from all three civilizations worked together to prepare the trap. The Phoenix fleet, now upgraded with both Alliance and Dominion technology, led the operation. Miller watched from the humanity's dawn as the last devices were put in place. "Devourer ships detected," Tom Walker reported. 5 of them, heading straight for the target system. "All ships, fall back to safe distance," Miller ordered. "Let them take the bait." Everyone watched in tense silence as the massive organic ships approached the star system. Their dark tentacles reached out, beginning to consume the carefully placed energy sources. "Now!" Miller commanded. Thousands of quantum singularities activated at once. Space itself seemed to scream as the devices created a web of gravitational forces that no being, no matter how powerful, could resist. The effect on the Devourers was immediate and horrifying. Their massive ships writhed in space, their organic forms unable to process the destructive energy they had consumed. Dark matter tentacles thrashed wildly, creating waves of gravitational distortion. "It's working," Admiral Ray breathed. "They're being torn apart from the inside." The destruction of the Devourer ships was spectacular. They didn't explode, they imploded, collapsing in on themselves as the quantum singularities did their work. In less than an hour, 5 of the most powerful beings in the universe had been destroyed by human ingenuity. "Send word to all fleets," Miller ordered. "The weapon works. Begin production of more quantum singularity devices immediately." As celebrations broke out across the United Fleet, Miller knew this was just the beginning. They had found a way to hurt the Devourers, but there were still hundreds more out there. The real war was just starting. But for the first time, they had hope. Humanity's wild ideas, combined with alien technology, had achieved what seemed impossible. The galaxy would never again underestimate the power of human creativity. 1 month after their first victory, Captain Miller stood on the bridge of the humanity's dawn, watching a holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots showed where the Devourers had been spotted. There were hundreds of them now, and more appearing every day. "They're learning," Miller said to Admiral Ray and the Dominion commander, who now made the Earth ship their joint headquarters. "They're avoiding the systems where we've placed quantum singularity traps." "Worse than that," the Dominion commander added, his usual pride replaced by genuine worry. "They're evolving. Our scouts report the newer Devourers have developed some kind of protection against the quantum singularities." This was humanity's next great challenge. Just as Earth's military leaders had always predicted, any weapon, no matter how powerful, would eventually be countered by a determined enemy. "Then we need to evolve faster than they do," Miller said. He pulled up images of Earth's newest invention, the mirror shield. "Our scientists figured out how to reflect the Devourers' own energy-draining attacks back at them. But we need both Alliance power cores and Dominion focusing crystals to make it work." The alien leaders shared a look. Even now, after weeks of cooperation, sharing their most advanced technology wasn't easy. Centuries of mistrust didn't disappear overnight. "We're talking about our most closely guarded secrets," the Dominion commander said slowly. "But, we've seen what happens when we don't trust humanity's ideas. You have them." A new alert flashed on the main screen. A massive fleet of Devourer ships had appeared near the core worlds of all three civilizations. This wasn't random anymore, it was a coordinated attack. "They're targeting our production facilities," Admiral Ray realized. "They know we're making weapons that can hurt them. They're trying to stop us before we can build enough mirror shields." Miller looked at the battle map again. The Devourers had positioned themselves perfectly to strike at all three civilizations at once. If they succeeded, the galaxy's ability to fight back would be crippled. But the enemy had made one crucial mistake. They didn't understand how quickly humans could improvise. All ships, Emergency Protocol Phoenix, Miller commanded. Execute Operation Slingshot. Across the galaxy, thousands of ships from Earth, the Alliance, and the Dominion began moving in perfect coordination. They had drilled for this, preparing for the moment when the enemy would try to split their forces. The plan was pure human creativity. Instead of defending their world separately, they would use the gravity of specific stars to accelerate their ships to impossible speeds. The entire United Fleet would hit each Devourer attack force one by one, overwhelming them with concentrated firepower before they could react. "This is insane," the Dominion commander said, watching the fleets move. "Using stars as gravity assists in the middle of combat? The calculations alone should take days. That's why we gave every ship an Earth AI to handle the math," Miller explained. "We're not fighting like a normal military anymore. We're fighting like humans, using everything we can think of to win." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The United Fleet struck like lightning, appearing from hyperspace using the gravity slingshot maneuver to hit the first Devourer force before they could react. Mirror shields reflected their energy attacks, while quantum singularities prevented their escape. But even as they won this battle, Miller knew the war was far from over. More Devourers were coming, and they would be stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than before. "We need to take the fight to them," he said, already forming a new plan. "We need to find out where they're coming from and stop them at the source." The alien leaders nodded. They had learned to trust human instincts. The next phase of the war would take them into unknown space, hunting for the Devourer's home dimension. And humanity would lead the way. The largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history emerged from hyperspace at the edge of known space. 10,000 ships from Earth, the Alliance, and the Dominion moved as one. At their head, the TNS Humanity's Dawn led the charge toward the massive tear in spacetime where the Devourers originated. "This is it," Captain Miller announced to the combined fleet. "Everything we've learned, everything we've built, has led to this moment. Today we take the fight to them." The plan was quintessentially human, so crazy it just might work. They would use the fleet's combined firepower to widen the tear in space, allowing them to enter the Devourer's dimension. Then, they would detonate a special weapon that would seal the gap forever, trapping the remaining Devourers in their own realm. "Enemy ships approaching," Tom Walker reported from his sensor station. "Biggest force we've ever seen. They're protecting the tear." Thousands of organic ships filled space before them, their dark matter tentacles ready to consume anything that came near. But humanity had planned for this. "Execute Operation Thunderstrike," Miller commanded. The fleet split into 3 parts, just as they had practiced. Dominion ships launched a massive barrage of conventional weapons, drawing the Devourer's attention. Alliance vessels used their advanced shields to protect Earth ships as they moved into position. "Mirror shields at full power," Miller ordered. "When I give the word, every ship fires their quantum singularity devices at once." The timing had to be perfect. As the Devourers moved to attack the Dominion ships, they turned their backs on Earth's fleet. In that moment, Miller gave the command. "Fire." 10,000 quantum singularities activated simultaneously, their gravitational forces combining into a wave that tore through space itself. The Devourers tried to absorb the energy, but there was too much. Their organic ships began to break apart. "Now the mirror shields!" Miller shouted. Every human ship activated their shields at once, creating a massive energy reflection field. The Devourer's own attacks bounced back at them, amplified by the quantum singularities. In the space of a few minutes, the entire enemy fleet was destroyed. But the real battle was just beginning. Beyond the tear in space, they could see the Devourer's home dimension, a place of pure dark energy where countless more of the cosmic monsters waited. "All ships, follow us in," Miller ordered. "Remember, once we detonate the dimensional seal, we'll have exactly 10 minutes to get out before the tear closes forever." The United Fleet entered the tear, pushing through waves of dark energy that made their ships creak and groan. In the Devourer's home dimension, the laws of physics worked differently. Stars were black, space was white, and energy flowed like water. They didn't waste time sightseeing. Every ship launched their load of dimensional seals, devices that combined all three civilizations' technology with human ingenuity. The weapons began to glow, creating a chain reaction that would separate this dimension from normal space forever. "All ships retreat," Miller commanded. "The seals are destabilizing faster than expected." The fleet turned as one, racing back toward the tear as reality itself began to warp around them. Behind them, the Devourers realized too late what was happening. Their screams echoed through space as the dimensional seals activated. The Humanity's Dawn was the last ship through the tear, emerging just as it began to close. Miller watched on the main screen as the massive gap in spacetime sealed itself, trapping the Devourers in their own dimension forever. In the silence that followed, Admiral Ray spoke first. "It's over. After 100,000 years, it's finally over." The celebration that followed spread across the galaxy. Three civilizations that had once been bitter enemies now rejoiced together. Humanity had not only joined their war, they had helped end the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. As Miller looked out at the cheering crews, he knew the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had proved itself not just as warriors, but as innovators, problem solvers, and peacemakers. The stars belonged to everyone now. And together, they would build something greater than any of them could have achieved alone.